Hi and welcome to Life of Posy. Today I'm going to show you a short tutorial on how you can embellish a leash from the dollar store, as I have, or an old leash that you have on hand with some ribbon of your choice. Some of the supplies you will need are, of course, the leash, ribbon, a lighter to singe the ends, scissors, and a sewing machine. Of course, you could glue it on. Okay, so first off, you're going to want to take your ribbon and take a lighter and run your ribbon through it to melt those edges. That will ensure that it doesn't fray. Then take your leash. This is my leash. I'm not real fond of these bones. Might be okay for a boy dog, but Posy's a girl. And I'm going to start down at this bottom end. This is the back side, so this will actually loop around like so. And we'll attach it this way. Take some pins and secure it. That way you can just go along down the length sewing without any hassle, and that it's centered. So every so often, make sure it's smooth. And do that all the way down the length of the leash. Okay, so once I got to the end where the handle was, I took a seam ripper and removed the seams, as you can see here, so that I could continue the ribbon pinning all the way down. And I also took my lighter and singed the ends of the material there so that it won't continue to fray. So now I have it in one long continuous strip with the buckle bending around to the back side. Okay, so I've chosen to use black threads so that it won't be too obvious on the back side, since I'm not choosing to continue the ribbon on the back side. I feel the front is enough. I'm going to just take out that first pin so that I can come across where the buckle is and make a nice secure seam so that will stay put. And get it as close as I can to this. And I went ahead and went back and forth a couple of times to really give it a good secure hold there. So now I am going to line up my needle pretty close to the edge of the ribbon, and I want to make sure that ribbon is centered down my leash so I have a little bit of black showing on both sides. And I will continue to sew down the length and back a little bit at the beginning. And I'm lucky because my ribbon has some lines on it which kind of help me to stay in a straight line. Take out your pins as you go. Keeping it centered. So now we have it sewn all the way down one side. It's attached. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in and go down the other side. And of course, making sure to go back over it at the end to knot it. Snip. And that is completely secured. Okay, so at this point, I want to put my loop back into my leash. The original loop, you can see the bend is right there, and it goes about there, but I felt it was a little bit too big for my hand. I like it to be a little more secure when I'm holding it so I can really get a good grasp on it. So I'm going to shorten it a little bit and bring it to this point. So all I have to do is bring it under here. And go across it a couple of times to secure it. Snip away all those little strings. Oops. All the way across. I have my handle. Perfect size, custom to my hand now. Continues on. That is a pretty cute leash. Okay, so you don't have to stop there. What I'm going, or you can, but what I'm going to do is make a bow using my mini Bodabra, which is here, the little Bodabra wand. And it's so simple. I've already taken this end and dovetailed it, and I'll show you how to do that. You take your ribbon, fold it in half, then you take your scissors and cut at an angle. Open it up, you have a really lovely dovetail. What I do is take my Bodabra, facing me this way. I just take a piece of thread, pretty long, I just tend to go on the long side. I fold it in half, and then I fold it in half again so it's a little thicker. The opened end at the bottom, the looped end at the top, and I just take it and keep it together and stick it right down the center of the Bodabra. Okay, and you can secure it under the bottom if you're worried about those getting in your way. If you're curious, yes, they do sell a special kind of wire thread through the company Bodabra, and it does work really well, but I find this is just as easy. So I'm going to make a simple bow. I believe it's called a boutique bow. You take one end, and you know, I probably have way too much ribbon, so I'll probably end up dovetailing this end again, but we'll start with this one. I'm going to want a little bit of a tail, so I'm going to stick it through with the pretty side facing up, because everything's going to be on the top. And I just push it down into the Bodabra, like so. Because this fabric is pretty much one-sided, you do have to do a lot of twisting with your ribbon. So I will take this and twist it this way and make a loop, come across, loop it down under, and stick this in here. Now, this is where it depends on how big your loops are on each side. If I feel that's too big, I can just pull a little bit here, make that a little smaller. That looks pretty good. So that's stuck down in there. Now I'm going to take the remainder of the ribbon, take this across so you kind of have a little X shape here, but loop this through the center underneath that first ribbon and take it and press it down into my Bodabra slit. Now at this point I kind of just push here, hold down, and look to see if my bows are even on each side. They look pretty good to me, so I'm going to take these right in the center, and whoop, before I do that I want to flip this ribbon over. Okay, so the pretty side is showing. Take these and press them down. You can take your little Bodabra wand and push it really secure down, and just make sure those are looking about the right size. Okay, so at this point I take the thread that I had put at the base and I bring them up through here and I loop this one through the hole and pull pretty tight. Because this doesn't have wire in it, this thread, it will loosen up. So as I pull it out, I lift it out, I'm kind of still pulling. And then I like to come around the back and give it a little knot here. Well, there we go. And give it a tug. And one more time so that it's secure. So my bow's looking pretty cute. And like I predicted, this is much too long, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and trim that up. But first I'm going to snip my threads here since it's secure. And you can manipulate your bow a little bit, like so. So I'm gonna make mine about right there. So go ahead and fold it in half and do the dovetail again. Still a little too long. And you know, you don't really even have to have tails on your bow. You can take those off. So I'm just kind of looking here to see what I think. That's about right. So go ahead and seal those edges in with your lighter. That feels good. Okay, so now we can add a center to our bow. I happen to have some little rhinestone studs that I can put on mine. I like the flash, but you could put a really adorable button. You could probably go to the fabric store and find something that coordinates with your ribbon even. But this is something I have on hand from making bows for Posey's hair. So just simple as can be. You could hot glue that on, or you could sew it on. Manipulate your bow a little bit, just like so. Move your little rhinestone around. This is kind of driving me nuts, that tail, but I think it'll work out once it's on the leash. So now we'll attach it to the leash. Okay, so I'm going to secure my bow right below the handle where the two pieces meet. I'm going to go right below that so it's not so thick. You could also hot glue this on. So I think it turned out really lovely. It's such a simple way to take an old leash or a cheap leash from the dollar store, add a little ribbon, a bow, and you have yourself a brand new leash just the way you like it. Thanks so much for watching.